Hi guys, welcome to today's session of Clap Up. By now you must have come to know how we are approaching towards the subject and at the same time how we are dealing with different concepts which are necessary for going through the CLAT examination. You must have by now learned as to the tactics, how to go about through English, how to go about through mathematics, or how to go through about legal reasoning and the legal aptitude. You must have learned some basic concepts in law as well, basic concepts which you are aware must have polished itself with respect to English. This session that we are going to discuss today is with respect to logic. Now let me at the very first stage tell you that logic is very essential. You know, it's like logic is where law starts. Logic is something that will help you throughout all your cases. Logic is something that will be there with you throughout all your cases, no matter what the case is, no matter what the type of case is, no matter what the subject of case is. Logic would be there, inscribed in it in one way or the other. So, logic is an essential element of law. Logic and law go parallelly. आप एक को दूसरे से अलग नहीं कर सकते. Now, why you cannot do this is the point of discussion today. And at the same time, today we will also come to know about the different concepts in logic, different rules in logic, different important tactics which we can apply while dealing with the questions related to logic. And we will, first of all, the most important thing that we would come to know is why is logic actually important when it comes to a lawyer or a judge for that matter, because after you have done your BA LLB degree, either you would be pursuing law as a profession or you might join some other judicial services. आप जहाँ भी रहेंगे, wherever you be, whatever profession you choose for yourself, even if you wish to go for academics, you know, there would be a point when you will have to use logic. Not would be a point, I should say, that logic and law will go intermingling. They would be intermixed, and then only you would be able to better prosper in your area, in whichever field you choose. So the first question that arises into our heads is, what is logic? Now, in order to understand what logic is, it is important to understand how logic works. And logic works on the basis of reasoning. Reasoning is the basis, or reasoning is the pillar over which logic stands. And at the same time, the kind of logic that we are talking here, which we are talking in the subject as far as the CLAT examination is concerned, we are talking about deductive logic, where from certain circumstances, certain facts, we come to a definite conclusion. That is the kind of logic we are talking right now, and that is the kind of logic that would be the point of discussion for this session. So what is deductive logic? Deductive logic, as far as the subject is concerned, is basically the mechanism or the idea by which from given set of facts and circumstances or given set of arguments we try to draw a conclusion. Now that conclusion is based on rules of logic, which we will come to know in the subject today. Now before we go further, the first important question that comes to our heads is, as I've already mentioned, that reasoning is the basis. So what is this reasoning? ये reasoning होता क्या है? And what is the importance of reasoning, or how at all reasoning came into picture? It's interesting how reasoning came into picture is because, you know, you must have heard that human beings are social animals, and in one way or the other we are kind of animals, because you know we all know the Darwin's theory that we have all evolved. So this is the theory, this is the process of evolution, that we as humans stand in front of us, we can communicate, we can do many different things which other organisms cannot do for that matter. So the basic fundamental thing is that how has this evolution taken place, and ये जो evolution हुआ है, जो हम लोग एक जानवर से आज, which we call ourselves in the biological paraphernalia as human beings. So how has this change taken place, and what is that fundamental thing which distinguishes this change, or which you can concrete, आप concrete होकर ये कह सकते हो, या आप conclusive होकर you can say that okay, yeah, this is something that defines me as a human being and that other organism as any other organism, be it a mammal, animal, amphibian, whatever you want to describe. तो वो basic element क्या है जो एक जानवर को एक इंसान से अलग करती है? That's where reasoning comes into picture. Whatever decisions we take, whatever actions we perform, whatever things we do, it's all based on one fundamental principle. That is the principle of reasoning. हम लोग जो भी काम करते हैं, जो भी डिसीजन लेते हैं, we try to analyze the situation around us. हम लोग हर चीजों को ध्यान में रखते हैं. Then we come to a definite conclusion. We give a reasoning that okay, yeah, this is because this is so. ये ऐसा है क्योंकि ऐसा ऐसा इसके साथ हुआ है, या इस चीज के साथ ये सारी चीजें जुड़ी हुई हैं जिसकी वजह से this circumstance is in the way we are perceiving it. So whatever human beings do, it's based on a reason. It's not based on whims and fancies. ऐसा नहीं है. It's not based on urges. Urges का मतलब ये होता है जैसे चाहत, तलब किसी चीज की. For example, अगर आप जानवरों की बात करें तो when an animal is hungry, it will hunt for food. The animal cannot foresee, though there are certain organisms which can actually foresee the circumstances. Not every animal can foresee the circumstances. So their activities are all the more based on impulses. That is just a general statement that I'm making, that animals work on impulses. Because they are hungry, they'll hunt for food. Because they want to sleep, they would sleep. Now we human beings don't do things just because we want to do it. We human beings don't do things just based on impulses. We talk about the circumstances, we see for the situation, we talk about the factors which are responsible, and we also think about the consequences, the possible consequences of our actions, and then we come to a certain conclusion. We try to reason everything, we try to give a reason for everything. Now, this is important. This reasoning is important because that is one of the elements or one of the distinguishing factors between human beings and animals. Now, as reasoning is something which distinguishes we human beings from animals, and I have already told you that reasoning is the basis, or reasoning is the pillar on which logic stands. So now comes the case as to why reasoning or why logic is important for a lawyer, and at the same time why, if at all, logic is important for judges. So दोनों circumstances को अगर साथ में analyze किया जाए, we analyze both the situations simultaneously or parallelly. So you consider yourself to be a lawyer. Now, if a certain person, if a certain client of yours comes to you with a case, तो आपकी ये जिम्मेवारी होती है कि आपकी ये जिम्मेदारी होती है कि आप उस केस को जीतिए. Now, what is that which will allow you to win the case? You can win a case only on the basis of the strength of your argument. Now, how you can increase the strength of your argument is based on reasoning. आप reason दोगे that because so and so are the facts and circumstances of my client's situation, and because so and so is written in the law, and this law is applicable to my situation, therefore the decision should be in my favor. You have to give the reasoning. You have to substantiate your case. And second of all, if you put yourself in the shoes of the judges, then there also the judges are bound by reason. They cannot give any judgment or any order based on their whims and fancies. They have to take into consideration the facts and circumstances, and only then have to come to a definite conclusion. Now, for coming to that conclusion, they have to give reasoning again. So there is again where reasoning comes into picture and reasoning becomes necessary. So when you will be pursuing your LLB degree, or after the LLB degree as well, you will come to know that there are different kinds of orders which judges can give. Among them, there are two kinds of orders. One which you call it as a speaking order, and the other which you call it as a reasoned order. Generally, the judges or the judicial authorities are bound to give reasoned orders. They cannot give speaking orders. Speaking orders are orders where you simply command the parties to do something. And reasoned orders are orders where you give a reasoning as to why you are giving so and so conclusion. So every judge is bound to give a reasoned order, and that is where again reasoning comes into picture. So friends, I'll take a break here. You might now have come to the conclusion as to what reasoning is. You might now have come to the conclusion, I'm sure, that why is reasoning important for lawyers and judges. You can think over this topic a little more. And before we proceed further, you can also read once you are in the law college, you will come to know that there is this one very eminent writer by the name H.M. Shirway. In one of his books, he discusses the importance of logic and how Justice P.N. Bhagwati in one of his judgments has used this very concept of logic in order to come to a conclusion with respect to right to equality. Yes, it is the right to equality, Article 14. H.M. Shirway has written in one of his books the use of logic by Justice P.N. Bhagwati and how Justice P.N. Bhagwati has committed a mistake. You can read this once you are in the law college. So guys, I hope you are till here clear about the basic thing. Why is logic important? What is reasoning? Why reasoning is important for lawyers and judges? So these three things we have discussed. Now we would be discussing about the concepts. But before that, just keep your mind open and just think over the subject.